Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring Black history and resistance
Okay.
through Kellie Carter Jackson's book, We Refuse. And
Sounds good.
yeah, it really challenges the traditional narrative. You know, we often hear about the nonviolent approach
Right.
as like the defining characteristic of the Black struggle. But Jackson argues there's so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
She digs into these four major remedies or responses
Okay.
to white supremacy:
Mm-hmm.
revolution, protection, flight, and joy.
Wow, that's interesting
Yeah,
that she would put joy in there with the other ones.
right. It's not just
As a
about,
form of resistance.
yeah.
That's cool.
It's not just about fighting back or escaping.
Yeah.
It's about finding ways to live fully and joyfully, even in the face of oppression.
Right.
It's a really powerful concept, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's dive into revolution.
Okay.
You know, it's about creating a completely new reality, not just tweaking the existing system.
Right.
And it got me thinking about how some of the most influential Black thinkers throughout history
Okay.
have grappled with this concept.
Yeah.
You know, you have figures like W.E.B. Du Bois,
Okay.
who initially advocated for integration and upliftment within American society,
Mm-hmm.
but later embraced a more radical vision of Black self-determination.
Okay.
And then you have Marcus Garvey with his powerful call for Pan-Africanism
Mm-hmm.
and the creation of an independent Black nation.
Interesting.
So both were deeply engaged with the idea of revolution, but their visions differed significantly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and that tension, that constant struggle to define what true liberation looks like,
Mm-hmm.
that's really at the heart of this idea of revolution,
Right.
isn't it? And you see it play out so dramatically in the Haitian Revolution.
How absolutely. The Haitian Revolution was just incredible. I mean, it wasn't just about ending slavery. It was
Yeah.
about Black people seizing power from their colonial oppressors and establishing a new nation governed by and for themselves.
Exactly.
It shook the foundations of the Western world.
I mean, think about Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines leading the charge, facing down armies,
Right.
defying the established order. I mean, Dessalines even went so far as to rip the white stripe
Wow.
out of the French flag,
Symbolic.
creating a new banner for a new nation, free from white dominance.
It sent shockwaves throughout the Americas. I mean, it inspired enslaved communities.
Yeah.
And it struck fear into the hearts of slaveholders.
Absolutely.
The success of the Haitian Revolution became a symbol of possibility,
Right.
a beacon of hope
Yeah.
for those yearning for freedom.
But it also raises questions about the limitations of other revolutions, like the American Revolution, which ultimately failed to deliver
Yeah.
on its promise of equality for all.
You're absolutely right. I mean, while figures like Crispus Attucks bravely fought for American independence, the reality for most Black people remains starkly different.
Yeah. Black soldiers who fought in the American Revolution
Right.
were often denied the freedoms they had risked their lives for,
Right.
and many were being trapped in a system of oppression.
Sadly, yeah.
And Frederick Douglass, a powerful voice for abolition,
Yes.
was scathing in his critique of the hypocrisy of celebrating the 4th of July
Right.
while ignoring the plight of enslaved Black Americans.
Yeah.
His words still resonate today, don't they?
They cut to the core of the issue,
Yeah.
exposing the unfulfilled promises of the American Revolution
Right.
and the need for a more radical transformation of society.
And Jackson suggests that Reconstruction, the period following the Civil War,
Okay.
can be viewed through this revolutionary lens as well.
I'm curious to hear more about that. How does she make that connection?
Well, think about the incredible achievements of Reconstruction.
Okay.
You know, formerly enslaved people like Robert Smalls
Mm-hmm.
were not only freed, but also rose to positions of power,
Wow.
becoming elected officials.
That's amazing.
The establishment of universal public schools, public health departments, and other social programs
Right.
represented a radical shift towards a more just and equitable society.
It's a compelling argument.
Okay.
You see this brief but remarkable moment
Right.
where the potential for a truly revolutionary transformation seemed within reach.
Yeah.
But as we know, the forces of white supremacy ultimately prevailed,
Sadly,
dismantling those gains and ushering in an era of Jim Crow segregation.
it's heartbreaking, isn't it? It shows how fragile even the most significant victories can be,
Yeah.
and highlights the constant need for vigilance and continued struggle.
Right.
Revolution isn't just about a single moment of upheaval.
It's a process.
It's about the ongoing fight to protect and expand those hard-won gains.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how this idea of protecting those revolutionary gains kind of ties into our next topic, protection.
Okay.
You know, it's about creating a shield, like a buffer zone almost,
Right.
against that constant assault of white supremacy.
And sometimes that protection takes the form of physical defense, right?
Absolutely.
Like sheltering fugitive slaves on the Underground Railroad.
Right.
Defying the law, risking everything to offer sanctuary to those fleeing for their lives.
The story of Lucy Stanton and her family really highlights that courage
Yeah.
and commitment involved.
Yeah. I mean, imagine the fear, the constant threat of discovery, and yet they persisted.
Right.
They understood the urgency, the moral imperative to protect those who have been stripped of their basic humanity.
And sometimes that protection required armed resistance.
Right.
The Christiana resistance is a powerful example.
Yeah.
Eliza Parker rallied her community, both black and white,
Wow.
to defend fugitive slaves from being captured by slave catchers.
They refused to stand by and watch as human beings were dragged back into bondage.
They took a stand.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they challenged the legitimacy of the entire system of slavery.
It speaks to that fierce determination of black people to protect themselves and their loved ones by any means necessary.
And black women, often the most vulnerable members of society, were at the forefront of this struggle.
Think about Margaret Garner, a woman who faced the unimaginable choice of killing her own children rather than seeing them return to slavery.
It's a story that just breaks your heart, but also underscores the lengths to which black mothers would go to shield their children from the horrors of that system.
It's a reminder of the brutality of slavery and the choices it forced upon people.
Right.
It's a testament to that fierce love and protective instincts of black women.
Absolutely.
And of course, you can't talk about protection without mentioning Harriet Tubman.
Oh, of course.
She defied every stereotype challenging that notion of enslaved people as passive victims.
Right.
Armed with a pistol, she guided countless individuals to freedom.
Wow.
Using force, if necessary, to deter fear and desertion.
She was a warrior, a strategist.
Yeah.
A woman who understood the need for both courage and strength in the face of oppression.
Yeah, she represents that indomitable spirit of black resistance. Now, fast forward to the 20th century, and you see this theme of protection manifest in the Black Panther Party.
Interesting.
Their initial focus on armed self-defense was a direct response to police brutality.
Right.
And that systemic violence targeting black communities.
It was a radical stance that challenged the status quo and demanded accountability from a system that had long terrorized black people with impunity.
But the Black Panther Party wasn't just about armed resistance.
Right.
They also recognized the need for community upliftment,
Okay.
establishing programs like free breakfast initiatives and healthcare clinics to address the needs of their people.
Yeah, it's important to acknowledge that evolution.
Yeah.
They understood that true liberation required more than just self-defense.
Right.
It demanded a holistic approach that addressed the root causes of oppression and empowered black communities to thrive.
And this concept of protection extends to what we see today with bystander intervention and the documentation of police brutality.
Right.
It's about bearing witness, holding those in power accountable, and creating a network of support and protection for those who are most vulnerable.
But it's also a tragic reminder of that ongoing threat of violence that black people face.
Yeah, the story of Philando Castile, a man who was shot and killed by a police officer during a routine traffic stop,
Right.
despite complying with the officer's instructions, is a chilling example
Yes.
of how even attempting to follow the rules can have deadly consequences.
It underscores the fact that for many black people, simply existing in public spaces can be a dangerous act. The need for protection remains as urgent today as it ever was.
It's a stark reminder that the fight for justice is far from over.
Absolutely.
And it makes you think about how, for some, the only option is to escape the system altogether,
Yeah.
to seek refuge elsewhere.
That leads us to the third remedy that Jackson explores in the book, flight. It's not just about physical relocation. It's about reclaiming agency, refusing to be confined by the boundaries imposed by white supremacy.
And Jackson quotes Jamaica Kincaid's A Small Place, where she contrasts the freedom of movement enjoyed by tourists
Right.
with that confinement experienced by native inhabitants.
Yeah.
It's a powerful observation about how that ability to leave, to choose where you exist, is a privilege denied to many especially those who are marginalized and oppressed.
It's about recognizing the power dynamics at play.
Yeah.
And how those dynamics restrict the choices available to certain groups.
Right.
And that connects directly to the historical context of the Great Migration.
Right.
When millions of Black people fled the South, seeking refuge from racial terror and economic exploitation.
They weren't just escaping. They were making a conscious choice to step outside a system that was rigged against them.
Exactly.
They were seeking a better life,
Yeah.
a chance to create a future for themselves and their families.
It was a mass movement of resistance, a testament to the resilience and determination of Black people.
Yeah, and Jackson brings this to life through some incredibly powerful personal stories.
Oh, I'd love to hear about some of those.
The story of Ona Judge, a woman enslaved by George Washington, really struck me.
Oh, wow.
She dared to escape from the very symbol of American freedom,
Bold.
choosing to forge her own path to liberation rather than remain in bondage.
It challenges that narrative of benevolent slaveholders.
Yeah.
And highlights that universal yearning for freedom that burned within every enslaved person.
And then you have Sally Smith risking everything to escape a Virginia plantation,
Wow.
knowing that capture could mean unspeakable horrors.
It's hard to even imagine.
Yeah, these stories remind us that enslaved people were not passive victims.
Right.
They were constantly seeking ways to resist, to break free from the chains of oppression.
And this idea of flight as resistance extended beyond slavery.
Okay.
Mary Ann Shadd Cary, a prominent Black abolitionist, advocated for Black emigration to Canada,
Interesting.
believing that true empowerment could only be achieved outside the confines of American racism.
It's a fascinating perspective, isn't it? She recognized the limitations of fighting for equality within a system that was fundamentally designed to uphold white supremacy.
Right.
She believed that creating a new space, a new reality outside the reach of American oppression was the only way to truly thrive.
And for some, flight did lead to incredible success.
Okay.
Ever. Lee Hairston's story is a testament to that.
Yeah.
She went from a life of sharecropping in the South to building a fulfilling and prosperous life in California.
Wow.
Her journey exemplifies how flight can be a catalyst for personal and generational transformation.
It's like breaking free from a cage and finally being able to spread your wings and soar.
Right.
It's about reclaiming your agency, your right to self-determination.
Absolutely.
But it's also important to acknowledge that flight is a remedy, not a cure for racism.
Right.
It doesn't erase the pain of the past or the enduring legacy of white supremacy.
Yeah.
And it doesn't diminish the struggles of those who choose to stay and fight for change within the system. Each path represents a different form of resistance, a different way of navigating a world that is often hostile and unforgiving.
Exactly.
It's amazing, though, even in the face of such immense challenges, Black people have always found ways to reclaim their joy,
Yeah.
to celebrate their humanity, and to resist dehumanization.
Right.
That's the fourth remedy Jackson explores.
Right.
Yes.
And this one really challenges us to rethink what resistance looks like.
Right.
It's about recognizing the power of joy as a force for social change, as a way of defying the psychological effects of oppression.
Jackson talks about how the very absurdity of Jim Crow laws,
Right.
the lengths to which white people went to control every aspect of Black life, reveals that deep-seated fear and insecurity at the heart of white supremacy.
It's like they were trying to extinguish the vibrancy and resilience of Black culture,
Yeah.
but it just wouldn't be contained.
And sometimes humor becomes a powerful tool
Right.
to expose that absurdity and subvert those attempts at control,
Yeah.
like the BBQ Becky incident,
Oh, yeah.
where a white woman called the police on a group of Black people simply for barbecuing in a park.
Right.
It sparked outrage,
Right.
but it also became this viral meme
Right.
with Black people using humor to reclaim the narrative
Yeah.
and expose her ridiculous
Yes.
attempt to police their joy.
It shows how laughter can be a form of resistance,
Right.
a way of taking back power and refusing to be defined by the narrow expectations of white society.
And sadly, there are countless other examples of Black joy being policed.
Yeah.
From a Black student napping in her dorm to kids selling water on a hot day.
It's a constant reminder.
It's a constant reminder of the ways in which Black people are scrutinized and criminalized for simply existing, for daring to express their happiness.
But despite those attempts to suppress it, Black joy persists.
Yeah.
And it finds expression in so many beautiful forms.
Yeah, Jackson highlights the significance of Black dance, for instance.
Yes.
As a powerful expression of that joy, a celebration of Black culture and resilience. That has its roots in the experiences of those who endured unimaginable hardship.
I love how she tells the story of Nancy Williams,
Yeah.
an enslaved woman who found solace and joy in dancing at secret gatherings in the woods.
It speaks to that enduring power of the human spirit
Right.
to find light and beauty even in the darkest of times.
And that spirit lives on in modern dance trends.
Right.
From the electric slide to viral dance challenges.
Exactly. It's a testament to that enduring power of Black creativity.
Right.
And the ways in which joy can connect us to our ancestors and to each other.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about traditional forms of dance.
Oh.
Black joy explodes in popular culture as well.
Of course.
The film, Black Panther, was such a monumental moment.
Yes.
Celebration of Black heroes and a fictional African nation.
Right.
That resonated so deeply with audiences worldwide.
It was a cultural phenomenon that challenged Hollywood's traditional representations of power and beauty and affirmed the value and richness of Black experiences.
Even though Roots, that groundbreaking miniseries about slavery, sparked controversy for its graphic portrayal of historical trauma.
Right.
It also had an undeniable impact on how Americans understood slavery and Black history. It brought those stories to the forefront of national consciousness.
Yes.
And sparked important conversations about race and identity.
And that speaks to a crucial point Jackson makes.
Okay.
Black joy can be a form of labor resistance as well.
How so?
Quitting a job that exploits and dehumanizes you, especially in the context of Black women forced into domestic work after emancipation, becomes a powerful act of defiance.
Imagine working in white homes, facing disrespect and often dangerous conditions, and then just walking away.
It's refusing.
Refusing to participate in a system that devalues your labor and your worth.
It's about reclaiming your agency, your right to dignity and respect.
Robin D.G. Kellie wrote about his experience working at McDonald's as a young man, describing how employees found small ways to resist the monotony and exploitation of that environment.
Interesting.
Whether it was taking an extra long break or accidentally overcooking food.
Little acts of rebellion.
It was about finding moments of joy and connection amidst the drudgery.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I worked at McDonald's as a teenager.
Oh, really?
And while it wasn't always pleasant, there was a sense of camaraderie among the employees. We found ways to make the work bearable, to create our own moments of joy and laughter.
It's about those small acts of defiance, those glimmers of humanity that shine through even in the most oppressive environments.
Right.
They may seem insignificant on their own, but they represent a refusal to be completely consumed by a system that seeks to diminish your spirit.
And sometimes joy is about seeing yourself reflected in the world around you.
Yes.
About feeling seen and validated.
Absolutely.
I think about that viral video of those Black men reacting to the Black Panther poster. Their pure, unadulterated joy was so infectious.
So powerful.
It spoke to a deeper yearning for representation, for stories that affirmed their experiences and their humanity.
It was a beautiful reminder of the power of images and narrative to shape our understanding of the world and of ourselves.
Right.
It showed how important it is to have stories that reflect the diversity of human experiences.
Absolutely.
And celebrate the beauty of Blackness.
Ultimately, that's what this book has been about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about the many ways in which Black people have refused to be defined by oppression, the ways in which they have chosen life, chosen joy, chosen resistance.
It's a powerful reminder that the fight for liberation is ongoing.
Right.
And that joy is an essential part of that struggle. It's a source of strength, a form of resistance, and a catalyst for change.
And it's something we can all cultivate in our own lives, regardless of our circumstances.
Absolutely.
It's about finding those moments of beauty, those sparks of connection.
Yeah.
Those things that make us feel alive and human.
And it's about recognizing that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found.
Yeah.
We can choose to focus on that light, to nurture it, and to share it with others.
This deep dive into We Refuse has been incredibly insightful.
I agree.
It's made me think about the different ways in which we can resist oppression, the ways in which we can choose joy, and the ways in which we can contribute to a more just and equitable world.
I think Kellie Jackson's book offers a powerful framework for understanding the complexity of Black resistance.
Yeah.
And the importance of embracing joy as a force for social change.
I hope this deep dive has encouraged you to think about what form of resistance resonates most with you.
Yes.
And how you can apply these concepts to your own life. Until next time, keep seeking joy and keep resisting.